All right, welcome back, everyone, to this new episode of Jury of Drunken Opinion, because I can't ever remember what the fuck we're doing anymore because we slam it all together. Jury of Drunken Opinion. I have no idea what we're talking about, so this is the best intro you get.
Yeah. Yep.
Nick, what the fuck are we talking about? I'm Jeff, by the way.
I'm Adam.
I'm Nick. Well, what are we drinking? I mean, I know what you're drinking.
Evan Williams, and then I'm going to move on to some warm beers. And they're really good ones. This one's a PBR.
I'm drinking a Simply Spiked watermelon.
That sounds lovely.
It was delicious.
Delightful.
It was delicious when it was new, but I drank that during D&D.
I was waiting. Yeah, okay, there it is. I was going to say, I'm waiting for him to tell me it's a couple days old, but I didn't wait long enough for him to finish his fucking sentence. It's been here for 4 days.
Why waste alcohol?
Sometimes it's not really the second I unmuted you.
That's unfortunate.
Son of a bitch.
Well, before we start talking about today's subject, I have a few questions.
No.
Question number one.
No.
All right, that's fair. What do you guys know about pirates?
I know the one that says I'm the captain now. Oh, and then the really good one that Johnny Depp plays.
No, that's fair.
That's about it.
Is that about it? Okay. So we got Somalian and Disney. Good to know. Know anything about privateers?
A little bit.
They don't exist.
They don't exist. Okay.
Not anymore.
Fair. I like to think that the age of, naval piracy. Never mind. That goes back to Somalia. Well, that was going to Somalia. We're going to Scotland. Today, we're going to be talking about a pirate, a privateer, and a patriot. All
Tom Brady.
Actually, yes. Yes. What does Tom Brady and John Paul Jones have in common?
They both became Buccaneers.
You're not wrong. I don't like
it.
You're not
I know,
wrong.
right? Amazing how I linked that together.
You're not incorrect.
Absolutely
I just don't
crazy.
like it.
And also, Tom Brady used to be a Patriot. Guess what movie is about Scotland?
Not The Patriot.
No, it's it's that.
Granted, both are with Mel Gibson, so yeah. I'm really confused right now. My brain's hurt.
But imagine if it was.
I got nothing.
What? Okay.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you break the JDO before it starts.
Well, this man was a pirate, a privateer, and a patriot, depending on what country you were from. I'm still really lost on that. I don't know any of this. A man who would be known as the father of America's Navy. A man who, like previous JDO subject Benedict Arnold, would fight for a newly born country.
Listen to that one in the backlog, by the way.
It's pretty good. Honestly, one of my favorites. And again, a man whose only goal in life was glory and honor. He commanded ships of 4 different nations and in 2 different wars. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be discussing the father of the United States Navy, John Paul Jones. No, not of the Monkees and not of Led Zeppelin. Different John Paul Jones.
Yay.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I'm assuming you guys have never heard of John Paul Jones.
No. That's an astute observation you've had.
He wasn't in Hamilton?
Not in the first one.
Are we still waiting for Hamilton Part 2 Electric Boogaloo? I'm actually pretty sad about this because I really love reading off obnoxious, long European names. But unfortunately today it's going to be boring. John Paul was born July 6th, 1747 to John Paul Sr. and Jean Macduff in Kirkcudbrightshire in southwest Scotland.
That was not a real place.
Kirkcudbrightshire. Kirkcudbrightshire? Yeah, Kirkcudbrightshire. In southwest Scotland. John Sr. was the resident gardener of the our big land estate, which is actually really pretty if you look it up. It's really nice. Now, if there
See
is
if
one
these are
thing,
real words. How do you spell that?
Arbigland estate. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Scotland. Who would have thought? Now, if there is one thing I pride myself on during these episodes, it is completely useless information that is only tangentially related to the topic at hand. That being said, the Arbigland House was built in 1755 by Lord William Craik, who had 2 children, one of whom was his illegitimate son, James Craik, first physician general of the United States, of the U.S. Army, and personal physician of George Washington at the time of his death. So, that little nugget of knowledge that no one asked for and no one cares about. Paul became a sailor aboard the British merchant ship, the Friendship, at the age of 13. He sailed on multiple slave and merchant ships, eventually becoming the 3rd mate on the King George in 1764, and at 31, and first mate on a ship called the Two Friends at the age of 35. British are really bad at naming their ships most of the time. There are actually some really good ones in here, but still. Paul, while making money on slave ships, was not exactly comfortable with the practice, and he chose to leave the Two Friends in 1768 while in Jamaica, sailing back to Scotland. Back in Scotland, he would take a position as 3rd mate on the John. During the trip,
shitter.
No, that does come up though. During the trip, the John's first mate and captain died of yellow fever. Paul would guide the ship back to port, proving himself to the ship's owner. Shut up. Owner, who made him captain. In 1770, during the John's 2nd voyage to the West Indies, one of Paul's crew tried to rile up a mutiny, and Paul had him flogged with 20 lashes, which was actually customary on British vessels. The crew member, son of a wealthy and influential Scottish noble, died 3 weeks later after the lashing. Paul would be arrested and let out on bail. He fled to Tobago at the advice of the local governor.
Tobago?
Tobago.
Tobago.
Country, Adam. Show some respect.
No.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Unless you're France, go fuck yourself.
It's true. It's true. Not Belgium. We no longer want to fuck Belgium.
No,
you're cool, Belgium.
Belgium just did some really not okay things in the Congo. But if you brush past that part, you're real adorable Congo when you're not committing crimes against humanity. Not Congo, Belgium. Yeah. Congo's just actually Congo also commits crimes against humanity, but we'll move on. Oh, I wonder where they learned it from.
I learned it from watching you, Dad.
Sorry, we'll get Belgium out of this.
Yeah, well, Belgium actually does not make an appearance here.
Oh yeah, Sweden. Nick, we need to start putting together an entire series on the Congo.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be fucking so depressing.
Big sad.
Yeah. While in the West Indies, Paul commanded the Betsy, where he would kill a rebelsome crew member over a wage dispute with a sword. So he went from lashings and yellow fever to a sword. Real advancement.
I'm gonna put this out there. I do think this guy's a piece of shit.
Well, to be fair, the first guy was trying to cause a mutiny. And he got lashings, which was customary with British tradition, naval tradition. And 2, the second guy tried to kill him.
Okay, still not a great guy though. I have some weird feelings.
It gets better. Kind of. So the man that he killed, the second guy that he killed, although it was in self-defense, was part of another influential family. So Paul fled to Virginia, inheriting his brother's relatively large estate. This is where he would adopt the last name Jones officially. So going from John Paul to John Paul Jones in an attempt to evade a noose in the Indies.
This guy's everywhere.
Yep.
Maybe you're not a great person if you have a death wish everywhere.
In Scotland and in the Bahamas. It's choice. John Paul Jones would make his way to Philadelphia in 1774, becoming a member of the American Philosophical Society, whose members range from Charles Darwin to Thomas Edison, as well as good old I don't know, I've never talked about him, but Benjamin Franklin. He was a member of it too. We've never discussed him. We never will. But
well, now I kind of wanna.
In 1775, he would become an officer in the brand spanking new Continental Navy and was made a first lieutenant of the 24-gun frigate, the USS Alfred. On the Alfred, Paul would lead an attack on the Bohemian island of Nassau, looking for military supplies. He would
NASA?
then no, Jeff, that's for space.
No, as someone who's been there.
It's Nassau.
You've been to space?
Yes.
It's Nassau.
All right.
If I learned anything from Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it's Nassau.
Okay.
Yep.
And if I've learned anything from the movie Venom, it's symbiote. Hey, sometimes jokes just don't land, but that was a big deal in the nerd community.
just the silent stare.
Gotta add some crickets in there.
Find some.
After the raid on Nassau, he would then be put in command of the 12-gun USS Providence. While in command, Paul basically did nothing but side quests for the Continental Congress. He fucking ran supplies, transported troops, did a couple escort missions. He beat the game, and I don't know. He was just doing side quests.
Same, brother. Same.
Yeah, it was Jeff playing Elden Ring.
See, that's the thing, though. Elden Ring doesn't have side quests. Elden Ring doesn't even really have a main storyline. Elden Ring is like, hey, here's the open world. Figure it out.
Back in command of the Alfred, Paul would be ordered to raid Nova Scotia, Canada, and free U.S. POWs.
Canada.
Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, Canadian winters are what we'd call a bitch, and the raid could not be conducted. However, he was able to capture the British merchant ship, the Mellish, which was carrying cold weather gear for British troops. That gear would go on to aid George Washington's men at Valley Forge, which, if you know anything about Revolutionary history, was real bad right then. It's not good. A lot of people died. Very cold. Paul was one of those guys who you read about in history who should have been in a position way higher than he was, but because he was politically inept and couldn't play well with others, he got shit commands. In December 1776, while in Boston, Paul would begin feuding with his commanding officer, Commodore Essex Hopkins, who in turn put him in command of an 18-gun sloop called the USS Ranger in June of 1776. So we went from, let's see, yeah, he made him wait a year for his next command in Boston.
What a good place to wait.
Yeah. While on the Ranger, he was ordered to sail to France. After almost a year's worth of political bullshit between Ben Franklin and the French crown,
that adds up.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to point out the entire time John Paul Jones was trying to fuck half of Parisian nobility.
Wouldn't you?
All right. Fucked his way through half of Parisian nobility.
Can we get back on topic? We don't need to talk about me right now.
Parisian nobility? Fucking his way through half of Parisian nobility?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I pull 0 bitches.
I pull 0 bitches, all of whom are France.
I pull 0 bitches, but yet I still pull more than France.
Jeff is to Parisian nobility as Charles de Gaulle is to bitches.
We have none.
He declares them his own and then goes nowhere with them.
No.
And then gets
That's
stuck
so
in Algeria.
No, fuck you. Oh, I'm sad. Yeah, but that was a good one.
One second.
No, ride that high for a couple minutes.
Ride that high. All right. The Treaty of Alliance was signed, which recognized American independence on 1777. On April 10th, the Ranger would leave France to begin its #1 job, annoying the fuck out of the English countryside. While using his powers of being a pain in the ass for good, Paul would try and light 400 dry docked ships, but his men forgot the torch.
You have nothing else? You couldn't go find something that was on fire?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Also, 400. That's so
400. 400. Well, some were dry docked, some weren't docked, some were docked, some were like being built.
Still, that.
But it was like, about 400 ships.
That would fuck so much shit up.
Well, let's cut to the end. They lit one on fire, and it was put out within 10 minutes.
They just kick it off the dock into the ocean and watch it sail away.
No, that ship was eventually sold.
What the fuck?
That ship became seabearing. When you invade a country with the sole intention of arson, what do you do when you forget the torch?
And
Nick, the accelerant.
Nick, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you invade a country,
yes,
something about arson I forgot. That was a really long question.
You're invading a country with the sole purpose of committing arson.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you forget a torch and the accelerant?
I would probably, if it was me, I'd cry.
You'd cry. Okay.
That would make the problems worse.
That would.
I would call Napoleon and tell him to not do the Louisiana Purchase.
Well, good news. Napoleon wasn't born yet.
What the fuck?
Almost certain he wasn't.
Huh.
Napoleon was born in 1669, so he was born. Good news, but he was 3.
Or maybe he was 2 or 4.
Oh no, hold on. Was
when this
69? 69. This was in 76. Napoleon was 7.
Or 6 or 8.
And from around those times, he could have had a job selling land.
You know what? That's not far off, because John Paul Jones was 13 when he became a sailor. So
yeah, maybe Napoleon was out here selling off land.
At that point, Napoleon was still busy being Italian. Fortunately, Adam, you wouldn't notice. Well, I don't know if you wouldn't, but John Paul Jones did notice that they forgot the torch because he was busy driving nails into the ignition ports of 24 cannons throughout the town. This is a practice called spiking cannons, and this means the cannons are now just 500-pound tubes that can't be used.
My asshole.
Exactly. You're essentially constipating the cannon.
Same.
Yep.
Am I helping?
Can you feel it now, Mr. Krabs?
Fortunately, John Paul Jones wasn't doing this by himself. He had landed in England with about, I believe, 24 guys. And
it's like a whole army back then.
He sent 4 of them into town to get a torch and some accelerant.
Wait, this man sent them into the town.
Yep, to go get a torch and accelerant. Yep. Well, this is the middle of the night. Unfortunately, on the way to get the torch, well, no, they found the torch and the accelerant, but they also found a tavern and then got pissed drunk in the tavern. And then when he sent another dude into town to go get those dudes, he just woke the town. Like, he just shouted running that they're trying to burn the ships. So, and then the entire town wakes up and chases you off the beach with pitchforks.
I hate it here.
Fortunately, the town couldn't shoot at them because he had ruined all of their cannons. But he was able to light one ship on fire. At which point the town's fire brigade put it out within 10 minutes. So, yeah.
How does this story keep going?
Well, his crew got really mad at him because they weren't able to get any of that sweet treasure booty.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
They couldn't even light boats on fire.
Made of wood. Pissed off by this, they pressured Paul into kidnapping the Earl of Selkirk for ransom money.
Hey, boss, I'm pretty pissed off with how things have been around here lately. How about we go kidnap this woman?
No, this is a man. This is the Earl of Selkirk.
Oh my god damn it.
But when they got to the Earl's home, or the Earl's estate, he had left 2 hours beforehand on a business trip to London. So John Paul Jones just walked away. But as he was leaving, his crew, being very, very upset, not being able to tell the difference between privateers and a warship, they demanded that we get something. So John Paul Jones sent one of his lieutenants and another crew member back to the house and robbed the family of their silverware.
I guess silverware back then was probably actually.
Well, it was actual silver. It was real
it was
silver.
silver,
Yeah. So they got away with like forks and shit and like a teapot and then the family's platter, like their encrusted platter.
Not platter.
Well, John Paul Jones would return it after the war. Because
what a stand-up guy.
Yep. It's important to note that the Ranger was a United States warship, not a privateer vessel. Those are 2 very different things. So in order to prove himself not a pirate, he returned the silver plate and the teapot with the leaves still inside.
Oh,
from when they stole it?
Yep. After the war.
How long had it been?
It's tea leaves.
It was about 10 years. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't drink it, but
I wouldn't drink the tea, but yeah. Well, so this is a sanctioned. This is part of the United States military, and the crew thinks they're on a pirate ship and they're gonna get war booty. That's not how warships will work.
You don't own said ship.
No. Now John Paul Jones was sent to England to essentially be a privateer, but that was for war purposes. He was this was not a privateering ship. They were clear military goals in mind. The only reason he went to Selkirk was to avoid his crew mutinying on him.
Jesus Christ.
Got
to keep the morale up. Got to go do some pirateering.
Oh yeah. Got to go kidnap an earl.
No, I swear. I swear, sir. It was purely for the morale.
Yeah. So, on their way back from England, the Ranger would get into an hour-long gunfight with the HMS Drake, capturing her. On the way back with the 2 ships, the Drake's crew, led by Lieutenant Simpson, who was the troublesome crewmate the entire time, attempted to flee, wanting to go back home. Just took the entire ship and just went, bye. The Ranger recaptured the Drake and imprisoned the troublesome lieutenants.
What the fuck?
And he wanted to have him hung. But Benjamin Franklin said that would be a bad idea.
Probably would be.
It's fair.
Fuck around, find out.
Yep. Back in France, John Paul Jones would take command of the 42-gun HMS Bonhomme Richard. Bonhomme Richard.
Bottom?
Bonhomme Richard.
Why is Richard a bottom? Why does that matter to the
No,
story?
it's Bonhomme. Bonhomme Richard. It's French. I don't know.
I made a funny. No one laughed. Pretty sad.
Yeah, remember when I did that like 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, but this was kind of funny, though. I was just taking a drink of water.
You weren't when I said it.
I laughed inside.
Depression.
His command was to protect a French and Spanish invasion fleet headed for England.
Okay.
I didn't know this was a thing. Apparently it is. I didn't know the Spanish and French were just gonna whole ass invade England during the 1700s, but okay.
Now you do.
Yeah. He decided the best way to do this was to lead a 5-ship squadron along the coast of Ireland, continuing his long-held tradition of just pissing off the English. On September 23rd, 1779, at around 7 p.m., the Battle of Flamborough Head would start.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where we cue the WWE music. In the corner fighting for the red, white, and blue is the 36-gun USS Alliance, 32-gun USS Polar, 12-gun USS Vengeance, the Le Cerf, and 2 privateering vessels, the Monsieur and the Granville, along with the aforementioned Bonhomme Richard. From the land of Crooked Teeth and Keira Knightley, you have the 44-gun HMS Serapis and the 22-gun Countess of Scarborough. Those are our contenders for this fine evening's fight. Now, after huge fuck-ups, particularly on the USS Alliance, pretty much how this went down was the captain of the USS Alliance was a Frenchman who really didn't like John Paul Jones. So while the Serapis and the Bonhomme Richard were basically side by side, parallel, shooting at each other, the Alliance drifted around the Bonhomme Richard's flank and just let loose an entire broadside along both ships, primarily on the Bonhomme Richard, killing about 13 of the Bonhomme Richard's crew and causing the Bonhomme Richard to sink at the end of the battle.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
as you do.
Yeah. You know that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean where like the ship just gets torn to fucking pieces while the dude's walking down the stairs? Well, I don't know. I'm probably describing it poorly, but it was basically that, but from an ally and a Frenchman. Thanks, France.
Goddamn French.
Yep. Now, at the end of the day, there would be 170 assorted French and American sailors dead, as well as Soilers, as well as 117 dead Brits. The Bonhomme Richard was sunk, and both British ships were captured. In 1780, John Paul Jones would be given the title Chevalier by King Louis XVI, as well as awards from the U.S. Congress and from whatever the hell Parliament France had at that time, even if I don't know. He got like 2 awards from France. For pretty much the next 7 years, he would go from one non-existent command to the next, trying to convince Congress that the United States needed a large standing navy. Congress would eventually see things his way, but felt that Paul Jones needed more experience in a true modern navy. So they sent his gout-laden ass to Russia. Yeah. Empress Catherine the Great felt the famous American Navy man would help win the upcoming war against the Turks. But After one command and getting accused of raping a 10-year-old girl,
Jesus.
he left Russia for Poland. Now, he probably didn't do it.
Probably isn't a good answer here.
He
What the fuck?
he was
If
acquitted.
your defense is probably
He was acquitted by Russia. He had made a lot of political enemies in Russia.
Yeah, because I trust the Russians.
It was probably a political assassination. Well, I would also like to point out that this was over 235 years ago.
You're making it worse.
I'm going to stick with probably. For all intents and purposes, he did not.
You're like the Germans with Hinterkaifeck. You know who did it.
He didn't do well. According to the doctors that examined the girl, she still had a hymen, so that's not how that works.
How good were the doctors back then?
They knew what a hymen was.
Yeah, but
you don't even know what a hymen is.
Do we know how large his cock was?
Oh, we're done with that. We're done. Moving on.
Little Napoleon complex over here.
Moving on.
Fucking using probably as your defense.
Well, no, like historians have largely discredited this claim, like from records and everything, the doctor's testimony. It most likely didn't happen. But again, it was 235 years ago.
I don't know. I think we should revisit.
Okay.
Cold case.
Cold case. This is going to be an actual dream.
Drunken Cold Cases with Jeff, Adam, and Nick.
Yep.
All right, Nick, could you hold the paper more still? I can't read it. Jeff, you're looking at a monitor.
Oh, after all that, he left for Poland. In Poland, he would attempt to enter the service of the Swedish Navy, and got nowhere. Returning to Paris in 1790, he would lobby U.S. Congress to make him Commodore to rescue captured Americans in Algiers, while trying and now failing to fuck the other half of Paris nobility. He was really, really into Parisian nobility. Like
Clearly.
the book.
Well, was he ever in it though?
The book I read. Well, he was a really strapping Scotsman, which was a thing that Parisians liked apparently.
So you say Scotsman? I think a guy in a kilt that like has a huge beer belly and like just.
In June 1792, Paul Jones would get his wish with Congress passing authorization. On July 18th, the day he would receive his new post, John Paul Jones was found dead in his Parisian apartment. He was another one of those guys that had just all of the gout.
Oh no.
Gout killed a lot of people apparently in the 1700s. At 45 years old, John Paul Jones would be buried in the Saint Louis Cemetery in Paris. And that cemetery would be sold by the French government after the revolution, and it was torn down.
Oh.
This was until 1905 when U.S. Ambassador to France General Horace Porter, at the instructions of President Theodore Roosevelt, spent 6 years trying to find his grave, and would find him and transport his body back to America.
What a guy.
John Paul Jones now rests at the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland.
You want to use any real word there? Jesus fuck.
Now rests at the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Finally, returns to the adopted country he called home. The country that shut up. The country that allowed a poor gardener's kid to become a hero and a legend. Many call John Paul Jones a pirate, a brawler, and a ruffian. But in their soul, what true American isn't?
What true American isn't a Scotsman?
I don't think I have any Scottish in me.
I don't think I either.
I have zero Scots in my blood.
All right, maybe we're not American.
Zero Scots in my blood.
That's been the case the whole time.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's not a piece of shit, but I mean, if he did do those things to that woman allegedly, he is Garbo, sir.
Every single historical account has said that those claims were made falsely by his political opposition in the Russian noble court.
That's fine. Here on You Hate to See It through Drunken Jurors, everything is allegedly until proven, and I guess it can't be proven. But if he did it, fuck him.
That's bad. That's bad. Then he goes up there with Montgomery from World War II.
Yeah.
There you go. There's John Paul Jones. A book I bought a year ago and decided to read, and then was told make a podcast.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's how we do it around here.
Yeah. I have no clue what the next one's going to be because I don't know. Yeah. I don't think I should do it.
This is the last JDO for the year.
Is it? Okay, cool. If anyone has any recommendations for interesting historical figures that no one talks about enough, please come our way, because no one has ever talked about any of the people we have. As I have been able to find one podcast on Erwin Rommel.
It was ours, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, weird.
Weird
I mean,
flex,
yeah.
but okay.
I mean, with that, yeah, just stay tuned. I have no idea what the fuck we have planned for Drunken Jurors, because I cannot for the life of me schedule shit out.
We are doing the Black Hand.
Yeah, we are doing Nick and I, you guys that loved the Hinterkaifeck episode.
All
if you haven't, if you haven't listened to it, which would be wild because it's a good one.
I do think that that's coming out before this is. I would.
That's
like
what
to
I
point that
thought.
out.
Huh. Interesting.
We're trying to space out the JDOs a little bit.
I guess the Charles de Gaulle one wasn't that far back.
Correct.
Okay. I like how I get to do these quarterly. I get to release these the same time as the U.S. job reports.
Well, now we don't get to talk about it.
Now we don't get to talk.
Now we get to do a lame outro. Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you go down to the description of this episode, you can find our link tree. Click on that. You can go to our Patreon. You can become a patron. $1 tier, you get access to the Discord, and Adam and I do a movies review podcast because I don't watch shit. So I watch stuff and then I crush Adam's heart by telling him that I didn't like a movie he really enjoyed. And then at $3 level, fun. You can watch all of these unedited. So you can listen to that long pause where I said and then but you can see me do it, which just makes it better.
You can watch me stand up from my computer in my underwear.
Or you can't see that. That is a possibility. Yeah.
I have a six-pack abs.
You have a six-pack ass. Flat as fuck, bro. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, everything else on the link tree is pretty much our socials. So go follow us on all the social medias, and then also go to the Misfit Faction website and listen to their stuff. You can find our stuff on there. Great people. Very, very nice of them to let us partner and join their website and do what we do, which is just disgraceful to everyone, honestly. And allowing us to do it there. So that's very nice of them.
So and you can also see Adam cough at the lawn.
Sure. Outside of that, I got nothing else. I have no idea what the fuck will be next on Drunken Jurors, so we'll figure it out.
Give me people who listen to this this far. Also, people who listen to this far. Holy shit! Send us a recommendation if you want to be the next JDO. Please, I have literally no idea who I'm gonna do next. My girlfriend told me to do Abraham Lincoln and Michael Jackson in the same breath. So yeah, I'm not doing either of those.
Michael Jackson's a drunken jury one.
Yeah.
Drunken Jurors words. All right, Nick, do the roar. Fuck this.
Roar.
No, that was fucking awful.